Hello, hello. Welcome back to the mat and welcome to our winter solstice yin practice. Before we dive into today's practice, I have a couple of announcements to make, so please bear with me for just a few moments. My first announcement to share with you is that doors for my 3-week yoga program, the Consistency Journey, are now open. They are only open until the 21st of December. So if you are interested, the link is in the description below. Head on over there, check it out, and sign up. Now, what is inside this program? It is a 21-day guided program. So I am with you along the journey, each step of the way. It is called the Consistency Journey because the idea is to help you develop a consistent practice, to help you create that daily yoga habit, with me guiding you along the way for those 3 weeks so that you have the habit in place and you can take it with you into the rest of the year. Within the program, you receive 21 yoga classes. 15 of these are designed for your weekdays, so they are a little bit shorter in length. Somewhere in the 15 to 30 minute range are all those classes so that you can fit them into each day. And then 6 of the classes are for your weekends, and they are full length classes, about an hour long, so that you have a little bit more time to spend with your best self on your mat on those days when you do have some more time. Within the program, you also receive 21 journaling worksheets, one for each day, so that you take some time to reflect each day and start the practice of taking your practice off your mat as well. You also receive a consistency calendar to help you stay on track, and because it is a guided program, you'll be getting daily emails from me, giving you that motivation and that little nudge to get you on your mat each day. We'll have a private consistency community on Facebook. So it will be our own private little group where we can connect, share our practices, ask any questions, and cheer each other on. We'll be having 4 Facebook Lives within that community over the course of this journey. And because we all know yoga is more than just the physical postures, you have some bonus practices thrown in as well. You'll have 3 guided pranayama practices, one for each week, and 3 guided meditations, also one for each week. It is a really special program, one that I'm really super excited to be sharing with you. And again, doors are only open until the 21st of December. Doors will not open probably for another year. So this is really your chance to jump on in and join us on this journey. Again, if you are interested in learning more and signing up, that link is in the description below. Come on in and join us. My second announcement is I want to share this awesome product with you, the one I'm sitting on. This bad boy is called a Zafu. It's a meditation cushion, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. A dear friend of mine makes these and sells them, and they're amazing. They are filled with buckwheat, and you can unzip this cover so you can wash it, and then the inside you can also unzip so you can take out some of the buckwheat or add it back in depending on how squishy you like your Zafu. It's kind of amazing. It's honestly helping me sit and meditate more often because it's so comfy and I love it. And you can grab one for yourself at bloommindfulness.com. I will post that link in the description below. And if you use the code ROAMINGYOGI, you get $5 off, which is awesome. So I'll be using the Zafu in today's yin practice. If you don't have a meditation cushion, you can use any old cushion for now, but I highly suggest heading on over and getting yourself a Zafu because it's awesome. Alrighty, my friends, those are all the announcements for today. Let's get into this yin practice. For today, since it is yin, you're going to want some props. A bolster if you have a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you can use a pillow off your bed. That's what I'm using. If you have a meditation cushion like a Zafu, go ahead and grab that. I'm going to recommend a couple blocks, blanket. It's yin, so all the comfy props that you'd like to have handy, have those handy. But for sure, something like a bolster or a pillow. And if it's not a bolster, if it's more of a pillow, then you're gonna want a couple blocks to place underneath it. So it kind of comes up to meet you. You wanna be really supported in these poses. Alrighty, that's it. Go ahead, grab your props, unroll your mat, and I'm gonna meet you right here in a tall seat. Alrighty, my friends, go ahead and come into your tall seat. Feel free to sit up on a cushion. If you've got a meditation cushion, sit up on that. We're going to be here for a couple minutes in our tall seat. And I'm going to invite you to turn the palms to face down on your lap, on your thighs or your knees, wherever they rest most comfortably. Inviting the eyelids to close here. Take a moment to check in with your physical body, noticing any sensations that might be present. Notice how your body's feeling today. And then take that awareness to your breath. And for the moment, not manipulating or doing anything with it, simply observing, noticing what's present in your breath today. And the winter solstice marks the beginning of our turning back towards light. And we're sort of right in the depths of the winter season. And after this day, we start to move back towards light a little bit more. It might not feel that way, but that is what's happening. And the winter solstice also falls towards the end of the year, so this is the perfect time to reflect on your year. If you set intentions at the fall equinox, this would be the time to reflect on those intentions. How have those panned out? Are you ready to release any of them? Maybe some of them don't serve you anymore. And then as you reflect on past intentions, this is also a time to set fresh ones. As we enter this final stretch of the year, how do you want to end it? And by extension, how do you want to begin the coming year? So I'll take just a few more moments here to reflect on those questions, reflect on our intentions, and to put out into the universe our intention for the end of this year and for the start of the coming year. And just 2 more breaths here. And gently opening the eyes. Beautiful. We're going to begin in, you might know it as a seated wide-legged forward fold. In Yin, it is called Dragonfly pose. If you're unfamiliar with the Yin practice, we do hold poses for a bit longer. It's a very introspective practice. So we will be holding poses for anywhere between 2 and 5 minutes for today. So for a wide-legged forward fold, you're going to come to your seat, open the legs out wide, and notice if you tend to kind of roll back on your tailbone, you want to really be sitting a bit more elevated on your sit bones. So I will recommend, if you have a blanket, you can sit up on a blanket, just kind of on the edge of it, to help bring your seat a bit more elevated. And if you're used to practicing vinyasa, then you're probably automatically going to flex the feet up towards the sky pretty actively. For this practice, we're going to let them loose. We're going to let them hang out. Yeah. So really let the legs be loose. Maybe give them a shake a little bit. I know for me, I have a harder time sort of just relaxing in poses. So it's always a bit more of a challenge for me. So from here, and today I am going to be using my phone as a timer so that we don't end up in a pose for like 8 minutes, even though that would be okay, but don't want to lose sight of it. So for this wide-legged forward fold, we're going to start with 4 minutes, and really nice and easy. You're just going to come forward as much as feels comfortable. And if you would like, I'm going to invite you to prop it up. So you can, if you have a bolster, you can bring a bolster down in front of you. If you don't have a bolster, maybe a couple blocks and a pillow, and find a height that works for you. So maybe like really pile it on so that you can come forward and rest your torso down on something. It's totally okay not to rest on anything as well. If you'd like to just bring the hands down and just kind of lower the gaze and allow yourself to rest here. Decide for yourself if you'd like to really prop yourself up or if you'd prefer to just kind of hang loose. So here we go, 4 minutes. And because we are here for 4 minutes, I'm going to invite you to not come all the way into your deepest expression of the pose. To start, allow yourself to take a few breaths a little bit higher up. And then as you continue to breathe into the pose, this is the beauty of yin, you can kind of melt a little farther down into it. So I'm going to try not to talk too much in this practice. It is meant to be introspective, so it's the time for you to really take your attention inward. And I'll invite you to keep your awareness on your intentions for the remainder of this year and for the coming year in this practice. Notice if your mind starts to wander off, maybe onto your to-do list. Gently invite it back into this present moment. Here with your breath, here with your intentions. Notice if you've unconsciously started to activate the legs and flex the feet. I often catch myself doing that. See if you can allow them to relax. Alrighty, really slowly and gently begin to lift yourself up, coming out of this pose. Beautiful. Go ahead and set your props off to the side. We're going to use them again in a moment. And we're going to come into a seated forward fold with the legs together. So maybe using the hands behind the knees to help bring the legs together. Shake them out a little bit. And we'll come into a caterpillar, is what it's known as in yin, but you might just know it as a seated forward fold. And again, maybe using a blanket under your seat to help elevate the hips just a little bit. And you've got two straight legs long in front of you. Awesome. And again, go ahead and shake the legs out a little bit. Allow the feet to sort of flop. So your tendency, like mine, might be to really flex the feet back toward the face. For this practice, we're gonna let them be loose, let them hang loose. And we're coming into a forward fold here, so I'm going to recommend, again, setting up some props. So perhaps a block in between the feet, maybe a block on the thighs. If you have a bolster, you can just bring a bolster onto your legs. But if you don't have a bolster, you can sort of improvise like so. So this way you can sort of allow the torso to rest forward. I'm going to use my zafu underneath my head as well. So set up your props however you'd like to set them up so that you can come into this forward fold. I will also mention, if you'd like to bring something underneath the knees, this might be nice also. So if like a rolled up blanket would be nice underneath the knees. So find what works for you, and I will go ahead and set us a timer. We'll hold this one here for about three to 4 minutes. So set yourself up. And when the bell rings, we'll come on out of it. So again, not heading all the way deep into this pose to start. Allow yourself to gradually sort of breathe into it. And allow your breaths to be slow but comfortable here. So not straining to elongate the breaths, but allowing them to naturally deepen and lengthen. With your attention turned inward in this way, really take these moments to ask yourself how you want to finish this here. And what do you want to bring into the new year? And allow your inward-looking gaze to help you to inquire deeply within, and allowing any answers to these questions to arise from deep within you. And very slowly and gently begin to lift yourself out of this fold. Coming all the way upright. Beautiful. And moving any props off of you, off to the side. And for our next pose, we're coming into a dragon pose. You might know it as a lizard pose. So gently bending the knees in and crossing the shins. We're going to come into this from a tabletop position. Moving any props out of the way. You might want a block or two for this, so just have those handy within hand's reach for this next pose. And we're going to be holding this next one for, we'll do 3 minutes on each side. So from your tabletop position, you're going to take the right leg forward and to the outside of the right hand. And you can decide how intense you would like to make this by shifting the back knee. So if you'd like to, if it's a lot on the left hip flexor, you can scooch the left knee in a little bit and take your pose just like this. You'll still get quite a bit of stretch in the right hip. If you'd like to feel more of the left hip flexor, you'll scooch the knee back and get more of the angle here on the hip flexor. And so for this pose, I'm going to invite you to start here on the hands and then gradually maybe play with coming onto forearms. And this is a really nice place for blocks. So maybe you bring blocks underneath hands to lift you up higher, just like this. Maybe as you start to come deeper into it, you come onto forearms and you kind of explore the pose this way, yeah? Alrighty, so our timer is set. 3 minutes in this pose. And you can kind of let the head sort of not hang all the way down, but with your gaze sort of down and inward, as opposed to finding that lifted chest that we often use in lizard pose. And then I forgot to mention, but if you'd like to bring a blanket or some padding underneath the left knee, please do so. This can be a bit intense on the knee, especially if we're staying for a few moments. Notice where the mind starts to go. In a pose like this can be a pretty intense pose, depending on your hips. And we tend to carry a lot of emotion and baggage in the hips. And so this pose could bring up a lot of feelings or emotions. I'm going to invite you to try and just notice what comes up without engaging with it, if that makes sense. Really, really gently press into the hands and begin to reach your hips back towards your left foot. And then from here, you can release the right knee onto the earth next to the left. And go ahead and take a few circles of the hips here. And taking maybe 3 in one direction and then take 3 in the other direction. Bringing a bit of movement here into the hips before we switch sides. Awesome. So again, from your tabletop, from here we'll bring the left foot to the outside of the left hand. And again, you choose where you'd like to bring the left knee. So closer to the hands will take some of the intensity out of the hip flexor. If you want to tuck the back toes and scooch the knee back a little bit, it'll bring some more of the stretch into the right hip flexor. So decide what works for you. I will go ahead and set our timer for 3 minutes here on this side. Set yourself up. And see if you can imagine that each inhale travels all the way down into the hips, helping them to release. And each exhale allows you to let go of something a little bit more. And perhaps letting go of habits that no longer serve you, or intentions that have run their course. And allowing yourself to release anything that will stand in the way of you ending this year exactly how you'd like to. really gently press into the hands as you bring the hips back in space. Oh, yeah. Go ahead and release the left knee back underneath you. So you're in your tabletop position. And then from here, take a few hip circles in one direction. And then a few hip circles in the opposite direction. And then from here, we're going to come into a child's pose. In Yin, it's known as tadpole. So, seat to feet, forehead will come onto the earth. You can choose if you'd like knees together or the knees about as wide as your mat. It's up to you as what is most comfortable. A few options here. If bringing your seat all the way down onto your feet is not happening, or if that's uncomfortable for you, you can go ahead and take a blanket and roll it up as big as you need it to be, and you'll bring that into the space between the legs and your seat. So you're kind of supported on the blanket. And if you need to place like a whole cushion in that space, please feel free. You want yourself to be really supported here in this pose. So finding that support if you need that there. And if coming all the way down onto the earth is also a bit uncomfortable or is not quite happening, if you have a bolster, bring a bolster down onto the earth in front of you so that you can really rest down into this pose, yeah? Find the variation that works for you. And we'll go ahead and set our timer. 3 minutes here for this pose. Find what works for you. And as you come down, I'm going to invite you to bring the hands back towards the feet so that the shoulders can really relax down. Make this the most relaxing child's pose you've ever done. I'll invite you here in this child's pose to bring your inward gaze, so eyes remain closed, but your inward gaze to your third eye center. And this is your seat of intuition and inner wisdom. And gently bring your awareness to this space. And notice what, if anything, comes up for you. Any images or colors or words. Know that this is your intuition speaking to you. And really all you have to do is listen. And slowly bring hands onto the earth and gently lift your torso up off of the legs, removing any props that you might have used. And from here, we're going to come onto our backs. So you can bring the legs around and we will come into a supported bridge pose. So you will want a block for this. So coming all the way onto your back, bringing soles of both feet flat onto the earth. And from here, we're going to lift the hips just enough to slide a block underneath the sacrum. And we'll rest on the block. I'm actually going to use my Zafu for this because it's a bit more squishy and comfortable. So if you have a meditation cushion, a Zafu like mine, you can bring that underneath the sacrum. Oh yeah, that's nice. And this is it. We'll rest right here. We'll set our timer here for 4 minutes for this pose. So settle in, find the prop that you'd like. If you have a bolster, you can also bring a bolster underneath the sacrum and rest on a bolster. Find the prop that is most comfortable for you. Allowing the arms to rest by the sides of the body, I'll invite you to turn the palms towards the sky and gesture of receiving here. And with the palms turned up, you can visualize receiving through the palms. What is it that you're inviting in? As we begin to close out this year, as we welcome in a new year, what are you inviting in? And from here, you'll have a couple of options. We're coming into Viparita Karani, which is legs up the wall. So if you would like to scoot your bum up to a wall and throw your legs up the wall, feel free to do that. If you don't really want to scooch around, you're kind of comfortable where you are welcome to stay exactly where you are and simply lift the legs up towards the sky. So if you are on a block, make sure you're on the lowest height on your block. It's probably the best height for this. If you're on a meditation cushion, a little zafu like mine, stay right where you are and simply extend the feet up towards the sky. And everything else stays exactly the same. Just allowing blood flow to reverse here. And we'll stay here for 3 minutes on this one. So set yourself up. Timer is set. I'm allowing the blood to sort of reverse direction here. Allowing it to flow up to the heart and the head. Notice where the mind goes in these moments of stillness. And without judging or labeling, simply observing what the mind naturally tends to do when confronted with quiet. And really gently begin to bend the knees as you bring the feet back towards the earth. And you can press down into the feet here as you lift the hips just enough to move your prop out from underneath you, bringing the hips back onto the earth. And from here, we're going to come into a supine twist. So staying as you are on your back, go ahead and hug the knees in towards the chest. Giving them a loving squeeze here. We're going to hold our twist for 2 minutes on each side. So as you're ready, begin to drop both knees over towards the left. Maybe scoot your hips towards the right just a little bit. And you want to keep the right shoulder on the earth here as you come into your twist, and the gaze can come to look over the right shoulder. So go ahead and situate yourself. We've got 2 minutes here on this side before we switch over to the other side. Not trying to force this twist here, just kind of nice and easy, gentle twist. You can ignore those bells. Those are the church bells, not our pose bell. There's our pose bell. Go ahead and gently, nice and slow, begin to lift the knees back towards center. Bringing the hips to center. Go ahead and hug the knees here in the middle for a moment. And then we'll take the other side. So maybe the hips scooch slightly to the left as you then drop both knees over towards the right. We'll set our timer here for 2 minutes. Keeping left shoulder on the earth and then bringing maybe the gaze slightly over the left shoulder. Go ahead and lift the knees nice and slow up to center, centering the hips once again. And again, hugging the knees into the chest. We'll go ahead and come into a brief happy baby. So feet towards the sky, taking hold of inside or outside edges of the feet, pulling them down towards the earth, maybe a gentle rock side to side. And then from here, we'll come into our Savasana. So if you'd like props for your Savasana, feel free. A bolster or a rolled up blanket underneath the knees can be pretty nice. I'm gonna place this pillow under my knees. Just elevating the knees a little bit as you come into your final resting pose. If you like, maybe something underneath the head or bringing in a small towel or an eye mask over the eyes, that can be pretty nice. Find what works for you. I'll set a timer here for 8 minutes for this Shavasana. And if you'd like to stay for longer in your Shavasana, you can always do that. Please feel free. Find what comfortable means for you, allowing the palms to turn up towards the sky in that gesture of receiving. Go ahead and take a big breath in, filling up the belly. Open the mouth and let it go. And allow yourself to really sink into the earth beneath you here. Feeling each of your limbs get heavy. Allowing yourself to be fully supported by the earth. And go ahead and take a big breath in through the nose. Open the mouth and let it go. And if you'd like to stay here in Savasana, please do. Otherwise, start to bring some gentle movement into fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. And begin to bring the knees in towards the chest. And then bringing soles of the feet flat onto your mat. And go ahead and turn onto your right side. Finding calming, grounding energy here. And then using the left hand to help press you up, make your way into a comfortable seat. Coming to sit up nice and tall, finding a tall seat, perhaps sitting up on a meditation cushion or a block or bolster, whatever you've got. Finding some height in the hips. Sitting up nice and tall, turning the palms up on the lap or the knees in your gesture of receiving. And allowing your intentions for the coming final weeks of this year and for the coming new year to land. Bringing the palms to touch at heart center, sealing in those intentions with the sound of Om. Let's unite the breath. Take a deep inhale. Exhale it out. And then inhale for Om. Om. Thank you so much for allowing me to lead you here in this winter solstice practice. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me here on the mat today. Again, if you are at all interested in joining the Consistency Journey, our 21-day yoga program, that link is in the description below. And if you want to snag yourself a Zafu like mine, head on over to bloommindfulness.com and grab one with the code ROAMINGYOGI. I will meet you right back here on the mat next time.